We've launched a strategic partnership with Okta as a distributor last year, and we've had a great year in 2024. I'm joined by James Bradley, a key leader at Okta, a company that's revolutionizing how we think about identity in the cybersecurity space. So James, could you please start by sharing a little bit about your role at Okta and your journey in the cybersecurity space?
Yes, certainly. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me in. So I'm James Bradley. I run our Partner Alliances organization at Okta here in EMEA. So that's all of our indirect business, which is the majority of our business.
No, thank you, James. The cybersecurity landscape is evolving faster than ever, with new attack vectors emerging and organizations scrambling to keep up. What do you see as the biggest trends shaping the industry today?
Before you think about cybersecurity generally, I kind of think about how pervasive technology is in everybody's life. Mm-hmm. Young, old, and I think even from the moment that we wake up to the moment that we go to bed, it's in everything that we do. Yesterday morning went to watch my 6-year-old play football, and I'm thinking if there's one thing that you do that doesn't involve technology, it's watching a 6-year-old play football in a field in the middle of nowhere, right? But then it's there, right? The way we book onto those classes, the way they order their equipment, it's all technology. And you think because of that, just how pervasive that is, that attack surface becomes huge for the bad guys. And then also not just that, but like the market for the kind of data that they want to go to also becomes really big. So you think that's the environment that we're in. So it's everywhere. And then I think, in terms of what's happening, there's a whole load of trends coming together at the same time. One is everyone is demanding to work from pretty much anywhere all the time. I think we also see just a whole load of flexibility in how people want to show up and do their job. But also the perimeter has completely changed. And this isn't a new trend. This is a trend that's been going on for years. Yes. But this concept of all data and people being in one place and you secure that place is gone, really. And that's the journey that we're on. The demands that we have as consumers around the experience that we get from businesses is higher than it's ever been before. So you've got all this technology, debt, complexity, you've got evolving user experiences, and you've got people wanting to work really, really flexibly.
Yeah.
Then all of that together creates an amazing amount of challenge for our customers.
And Gartner noted that global cybersecurity market would surpass $200 billion by 2024. So driven by, to your point, cloud adoption and hybrid workforce. So the days of relying solely on the hardened network perimeter are long gone. What's your perspective on the shift towards more dynamic security models like Zero Trust, which you alluded to just now?
Yeah, so we do a lot with Zero Trust. We talk to our customers a lot about Zero Trust. I think it's, as I mentioned before, it's not a new trend, but it's one that's really picking up pace. And to me, it feels like something that's been there for years. But then you look at, firewalls is still like a $14 billion market, right? So there's still a way to go to go and embed this kind of new mode of operating within our customers. But it's really accelerating because of that flexibility that people want in how they show up to work. And I think for us at Okta, the reason that we started our business really had nothing to do with cybersecurity. We saw this trend of people wanting to leverage different cloud applications, and we wanted to provide a way to do that where you didn't have to log into them all in all sorts of different ways. And that's where the company came from. And that we still do all of that. That's still really important. But really the way that that's evolved is that's no longer about just the simplicity and ease of getting into the applications. It's about how do we create a foundation of security so that when you're logging in, that you're doing it in a way that is secure, that is compliant, and is easy, right? And I think then when you think about Zero Trust, identity is a foundational component to that. But then there are all sorts of other partners that we work with, like CrowdStrike, like Zscaler, that come together that leverage the data that we have to go and help customers deploy a full Zero Trust solution. And I think the only way that it can really work is if you do it using open standards, right? So we can consume signals from all these other technologies, go and make decisions, take actions for our customers to make sure they're secure.
In 2023, there was a Verizon data breach investigation reports that highlighted that 74% of breaches involved access through compromised credentials.
Yeah.
So would you agree identity is now the new perimeter?
Yeah, and this is, I think it's even higher than that, to be honest. I think, we see somewhere between 70 to 80% of breaches involve identity. So really it's where we've evolved to, even over the last 2 to 3 years, is identity is security. Like identity is not the login box, right? I mean, that's what you may see as a consumer,
Yes.
but what's happening behind that is a real complex foundation to underpin the security of your entire organization. You know, and we see customers that really deeply understand that embed the technology, that consume all these different signals to go and take, comprehensive and intelligent action. And to be honest, we see a lot of customers that are just not at that level of maturity yet, where they do just see identity as a login box, really. And that, between us all,
Yeah.
that is our opportunity to change the market, to help our customers mature, to be protected. And it's not, and maybe our PR company won't like me saying this, right? But it is not about identity. We're a company that identity is what we create and it's kind of what we sell, but it's not what people buy. What people are buying is increased revenue, better utilization of their assets, their resources. They're buying security. They're not buying identity, really.
Yeah. Another area where complexity is growing exponentially is in that cloud adoption. So it's no longer a question of if, but how many cloud platforms a business is using. So how Okta is helping organizations navigating the complexity while keeping security front and center.
Yeah, so this is why we started Okta, right? I mean, that was the use case. This overwhelming shift to not just leverage cloud, but to leverage multiple cloud applications, right? So we see customers, even relatively small customers, using tens, the really complex customers using hundreds and even thousands of cloud applications. And I think what they found is it's almost impossible to get your head around how your internal consumers are leveraging those. And that's a problem, not least because that creates an experience that's quite frustrating, having to log into lots of different things. The much bigger problem is, how do you make sure that you're secure and compliant when you're doing that? And both those things are really key. There's an overwhelming amount of not just complexity, but compliance regulations that businesses of all sizes have to adhere to. Right. And really what we're helping our customers with, as well as the security side of things, is making sure that there is a level of governance there that they are compliant with those regulations. So it's an evolving trend. It has been for quite some time. I think what's picking up pace is just the scale of applications, cloud applications that the customers are using. And we never speak to customers that have moved completely to the cloud. So what they're battling with is, how do we balance the on-prem applications, access to those, secure, compliant access, as well as all these cloud applications all at the same time, with the same experience.
And Forrester actually supports what you said as well. So Forrester estimates businesses using multi-cloud environments can increase productivity by 40% with proper identity and access management tools in place. Those numbers speak for themselves. So let's talk about identity as the cornerstone of security. You've mentioned it earlier in our conversation as well. Okta's philosophy, identity is security, is incredibly compelling. So how do you see identity evolving as a strategic technology rather than just a functional one?
Yeah, I think it's how you perceive identity. I think that's the big thing. I touched upon it a little bit before.
Yes.
We still have a lot of customers that are like, well, why don't I just go and use a whole lot of free technology to add a login box to my website? And of course you can do that, right? But the bigger question is, what is identity really? Like, is it just getting someone into your application, or is it the foundation to everything, really? And I think the most mature customers see it as the foundation to everything. And I think, coming back to some of the trends I talked about at the start, as consumers, we've got this expectation of an amazing, slick user experience. And as technology professionals, we recognize that's incredibly difficult to deliver. But the vast majority of people don't care about that. Right? They don't care about all of this technical debt, this complex architecture that supports the experience. They just want to log in super fast and it to work every time, no matter where they are. And I think identity, for our most mature customers, they see identity as the foundation to delivering that experience. So we work with a lot of holding companies that bring multiple brands together. They want to deliver a slick experience across all of those brands. They want to leverage the intelligence of that identity so they can go and feed data into those other brands, so that you basically, they can sell you more across those other brands. So that is just one example of how identity is not just that login box. It's something that underpins a pretty significant revenue generating activity. And in fact, we had a customer, I think in the Nordics, that just did something super basic. So they noticed that online sales were not where they wanted to be. They introduced started to introduce some fairly basic things like social logins. This is where you go to an application, you click, I want to log in with Facebook or Google or something like that. They saw a 75% increase in online sales, like within a month of doing that.
Wow.
So it's, the power of creating a slick, simple experience for your consumers is significant.
Absolutely. And it's true. So with identity, as you said, we're just not securing users, we are enabling them as well. So from frictionless logins to adaptive authentication, it's about making security business seamless. And that's a win for businesses and end customers alike. So finally, let's touch on partnerships, which has been a key theme at Octane last year, and also the UK version of Octane as well, which you kindly hosted with the leadership team. So the cybersecurity ecosystem is becoming more interconnected. How does Okta view the role of partners in surrounding the customer with the right solutions?
Yeah, look, it's fundamental, really. And I came in 2 years ago. The reason I came into Okta was for this, really, because I saw an opportunity to take a really strong brand, an incredible platform that our customers love, but one where, to be honest, we'd not really had enough of a plan, of a strategy around how do we go and drive profitability and success with our partners. And it's a special time because that's we've made that that decision now that we have to go forward with partners. So for those of our partners and our distributors that were Octane, you would have seen Todd, our CEO, John, our CRO, stand on stage, as well as our partner leadership as well that you'd expect, talk about the next phase of Okta. So we're at about 2.5 billion ARR. We've probably got a little bit further than most organizations would have, without really having much strategy and a plan around partners. But now it's really clear, like when you want to get to 4 and 5 and 10 billion, no company on the planet has ever done that without partners, and we're not going to be the first. So it's embedded in everything that we do. It's not just how do we go and sell some more technology. It's really from how do we design the product, how do we service the product, how do we drive adoption, as well as how do we get into all the markets that we want to get into together. So that's the journey that we've been on for the last couple of years. We've dramatically increased the amount of business that's going through partners. We're planning right now, so our fiscal year starts in a few weeks. We're deep in planning right now. We're getting more headcount. We're getting more investment into the partner world. So hopefully, you guys are going to see some of that as well. So it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for that myself, James. Especially, I think the stat that really stuck with me from Octane as well, that the deal size have actually increased by 40% when there's a channel partner involved, right? So that was again highlighted, and that was actually again mentioned at Octane as well, which again stuck with me. So the collaborative approach makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not just, it's a proper ecosystem now, which is really exciting for me because it's, on average, I think 4 partners are involved in our deals. All of our biggest deals involve partners. And we're able to bring together distributors, resellers, service partners, system integrators, technology alliances, cloud, often all in the same deal. So there's space there for all of our partners to make money, which is incredibly exciting, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is. And as you say, like no single vendor can tackle every challenge. So it's like assembling a superhero team. So, each partner brings its own unique strength to the table. Absolutely. So together we're certainly stronger. Right. So this has been a fantastic conversation, James. Thank you. Thank you for sharing such valuable insights. So before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice you would want to give to businesses looking into stay ahead in today's cybersecurity landscape?
I think 2 things, if I may.
Please.
I think one is think big. Like I mentioned at the start, technology is so pervasive, and I think it's we're only limited by our own imagination on what we can really achieve. And then I think the second thing is, and this might seem a little counterintuitive to the first one, but the second thing is decide what you want to be famous for. The most successful partners that we work with are the ones that decide we want to be this thing to this set of people. And you can change that over time once you've got really successful at doing that thing. Where we see some partners struggle is where they just get overwhelmed by the vastness of the opportunity. So those are the 2 things.
No, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing those valuable insights.
Thank you.
Cheers.